everybody. Welcome to this week's Mindset Monday, where we get together and talk about the things that actually matter. I'm Beth Jones. I'm your host here in the Mindset Academy. And this week's episode is actually sponsored by, let's see if I can get this right, candy corn, everybody's favorite Halloween snack. I know that's not true. I know that there are many of you out there that are candy corn haters, and that's okay. I totally understand where you're coming from. If you happen to be one of those people, you can just send them to me. Just send all your candy corn to me. I will give you my address and you can just put them right in the mail, and then you won't have to worry about it ever again. I love candy corn. I am team candy corn, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. So there's that. Anyway, today's topic, today we're going to be talking about minimizing our own needs and where that comes from and why it matters and how it shows up in our everyday lives and causes epic amounts of self-betrayal that we're not even paying attention to. As we know, awareness is the root of all things. It is the foundation of all change. So if we're not first aware, there's nothing we can do about it. And we're going to talk about why this is important. So many of my clients, they pride themselves on this fierce independence and this feeling of being low maintenance and effectively announcing to everybody that they don't need anything from anyone, ever, for any reason, right? And that is a very deep-wounded root. And it comes from somewhere in our past. Sometimes it's our childhood, sometimes it's an old relationship. It could be any massive number of things that initially causes a pattern that makes us self-isolate when things are wrong, because we don't want to burden anybody with the need to feel heard or the need to express our emotions. It may come from having expressed our needs and someone telling us that they weren't important, or making this other person feel bad that we had this need that they couldn't or didn't know how to meet. Those patterns typically go way back to childhood, right? And often when we have absent parents or absent caregivers for one reason or another, right? We've talked about this a million times. When I say absent parent or caregiver, I don't mean necessarily that the parent is physically gone. In some cases, that's true, right? In some cases, God forbid, we've suffered the loss of a parent while we were young, or we have a parent that has just disappeared from our lives because they've chosen to do that, which our child psyche can't understand, right? But absent parents and caregivers can also be just emotionally absent or unavailable, right? They could be struggling with substance abuse. They could be at work 24/7 trying to make up for the fact that the other parent is absent and they're carrying all of this weight alone. So their energetic capacity and their emotional capacity and their mental bandwidth is severely reduced in a way that makes them present for the children that they're responsible for providing for, right? And again, there does not have to be malice to be harm. This doesn't mean that these people weren't doing their best. It doesn't mean that they didn't need to be doing what they're doing literally to meet the survival needs for food and shelter, right? It's not necessarily intentionally harmful behavior that puts us in a position where we don't feel like we can ask for things, anything, even on a basic level, even just to listen or snuggle or just be present and play a game, right? Because we can see and we can feel that this person has so much on their plate that we don't want to further burden them with something else. And so what happens in those environments is we make ourselves as small as possible. And over the course of time, we convince even ourselves that our needs are not as important as someone else's. And as we get older, that makes us less likely to ask for help because we're worried about burdening someone. It makes us less likely to speak from the heart, to speak off the cuff about our emotions. It makes us more likely to withdraw and either handle it ourselves or package something up and make it something that we can present in a way that we feel will be acceptable or received properly by someone else. So there's a ton of self-censorship that happens in these environments, right? And so I was actually reading last week or the week before about this cycle that is, it's like shrink, 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 puff. And basically what happens is we make ourselves small and we make ourselves small and we make ourselves small and we deny our needs over and over and over again, and we don't communicate them, and we try to just will them away, right? Make it not important, make it not matter to us, until the point where we reach a boiling point and it tips over and then it all comes out at once. And I am 100% guilty of this. Okay, I'm getting better at it. It's something that I'm very mindful and aware of in my own pattern of behavior. And it's gotten immensely improved over the course of time, which is all we can ask for, right? But there are absolutely still moments where I catch myself repeating that cycle. And it's not necessarily intentional. It's the heart I have to care for others, and it is that I am, just like you are, incredibly capable and largely very independent. And there is a great number of things I can handle alone. But we are all deserving of having our needs met. And we should not feel guilty for having needs to begin with, right? So how do we even begin to break that pattern? First, we have to become aware, which is what we're doing, right? We're bringing awareness to how this shows up in our lives, right? And this affects everything from saying what we're feeling, communicating our opinions about something. What do you want to eat? I don't know, it doesn't matter. Sound familiar? And that's something that's just like super basic and inconsequential, right? Inconsequential. There we go. Right? If someone says, where do you want to eat? And your brain initially goes, oh my God, I don't want to suggest something that they don't want. So you just don't say anything and you pretend like you don't have an opinion, even though your gut is going, please take me to Chick-fil-A. That's okay. That's my gut. Might not be yours. It's a really minimal opinion. It's very inconsequential to discuss with someone you're going out to eat with where it makes sense for everybody. What's going to make everybody happy, right? And generally, it's largely true. Like, I'll find something to eat no matter where I go. But I have an opinion, just like you have an opinion. It's finances, in that if there's a stay-at-home parent in your home, if there's a stay-at-home parent in your household, that they're not the provider. Which, let me just stop you right there because I got a soapbox about this. Just because you're not the one physically bringing home the paycheck does not mean that you're not providing. If you are at home caring for the home and dealing with all the dinner stuff and the planning and taking care of the kids and all the things, you are absolutely a provider. We provide in many different ways. And I'll frame that in that we all have a variety of different needs, right? One is to make money. One, a singular one, is to make money to provide for the thing, for physical things that we need to spend money to get, right? Which is, a roof over our heads, food, money to pay the light bill, all the things, right? Things that do require money. We also require love and connection. We also require communication and support. We also require, unless we're making TV dinners or ordering out every night, someone to prepare the food. Maybe that's us, right? We require rest. We require stability and certainty in our lives. So if you are a caregiver at home, please do not diminish your role because you are not providing one of the needs of the household, but you are providing a great many others. And there is a balance in that. And if you've never seen the formula for the amount of money that we would need to pay external humans to come into the home and provide the same amount of care and support that stay-at-home caregivers are providing, it's exorbitant. If you hired someone to come in and clean the house every couple days, if you hired someone to come in and cook meals every day, if you hired someone to take care of the children all day, and those are just like three little things, little things. Those are three things, not all the things, as we well know. Then you need a personal assistant to take the car to the mechanic and this, that, and the third, right? There's a lot tied up in that. And again, these are social constructs. These are things we hear, right? You're not the breadwinner. You're not the provider. Cool. Providing financially and providing everything else are very different things. Very different, equally as important things. So let's be clear about that. Again, soapbox. How else do we minimize our needs? We skip our lunch breaks at work because getting the job done is more important than caring for our literal physical need of food to maintain our energy and wellness. We resist going to the bathroom when we need to go to the bathroom because we're right in the middle of something very important. There's all kinds of ways. Agreeing to things that we don't necessarily want to do is a self-betrayal. And again, it doesn't mean that we don't do the thing, because we all make compromises in life, especially for people we care about. But it doesn't mean that you have to pretend like everything's hunky-dory about it. It's a yes and. Yes, I'm happy to go with you. Yes, these are the emotions I'm experiencing about this. So that next time there's an opportunity and already an understanding that there was a compromise that was made and different compromises may need to be made in the future, right? So we're already setting up clearer expectations in our relationships and partnerships, right? Minimizing our own needs, especially as if you're a parent, means that, especially in modern society, especially in this world where, we've got like the the moms on Pinterest and Instagram that are like just freaking, they just love arts and crafts, creating innovative games, whatever it is that they're doing, and they're just immersed in this business of motherhood, right? And it may appear to you in their 60-second reel that they've abandoned their entire identity and wrapped it around being a mom. And that may or may not be actually true. The showcase of this craft may be the 30 minutes or the 60 minutes or the 90 minutes of truly interactive, uninterrupted time that mom spent with her kids all day. And the rest of the day was tending to her work or her rest or her self-care or her fitness or her partner. We have to be very careful about how we translate the things that we see on social media that might lead us to abandoning our sense of self because everybody's doing it. Being a parent requires that you care for your children. It does not require that you abandon your entire identity and do nothing else all day but cater to the needs of everyone else. There must be some kind of balance in all of that. Otherwise, you will get caregiver burnout. And you'll feel resentful and frustrated and exhausted and overwhelmed and completely done with the entire experience because there's no balance that allows you to restore the love and energy you actually have to spend time with your kids. Because we need that. And when we take it, and then we show up in those moments in the fullest and best versions of ourselves because we're resourced, because we're the adults, right? It's our job to resource ourselves so that we can care for everyone else. Then when we come to the table and it's time to be present and play, we can be present and play and enjoy it and have a great time doing it. And I can't speak to what structure you need in your life to make that happen, but I know that it's possible. We have to make intentional decisions. So we can see how minimizing our own needs spills out into every facet of our lives. It's in our romantic relationships. It's in our business relationships when we say, sure, boss, I don't mind working till 11 p.m. tonight, even though I got here 2 hours early because I'm an overachiever. Nope, I don't need anything. I'll handle it myself. Nope, don't mind me just moving this oven alone because everybody else is busy. And I don't want to trouble anybody. And we end up carrying so much weight that other people would legitimately be happy to lend us a hand to help with. But we didn't even give them an opportunity to help because we weren't willing first to communicate it. Because we were so busy priding ourselves in making ourselves as small as possible and as low maintenance as possible and without any needs at all, because we don't feel valuable. Minimizing our own needs is always tied to a struggle with self-worth. Always. You are worthy of both having needs and acknowledging your needs and having those needs met. But that first step is very, very important You have to acknowledge that you have needs first. And if you keep telling yourself that you don't have any needs and that you don't need anybody, then you're lying to yourself. And the transition out of the life experience that you're experiencing right now will not change until you stop. Because you can never grow and heal and create the change that you seek if you're always pretending you're fine. If you're telling yourself all the time that it's fine, everything's fine, even though intellectually you know that you're lying to you, then the door to the change and the growth and the transition that you seek to allow yourself to access the freedom and the calm and the peace and the love and the support you actually desire stays firmly closed. It isn't until we're willing to say, yes, I have needs and my needs matter, and I'm willing to explore how to get those met, that curiosity begins. And curiosity is the gateway drug to wonder, and it's my favorite thing. What are you willing to explore? What are you willing to do to get the support, to access the support that you desire? You have to say yes to you first. And sometimes, even though it doesn't actually feel like a tiny baby step, the only first step that you can take right now is to promise yourself that you'll stop lying to you and stop pretending not to know. And then the next step is to figure out what kind of support you're willing to receive. Because we all need support. We all do. And I get it, right? I can, like you guys know, I can speak to all of this at a very deep level because it resonates with my personal story very deeply, and because of all the experiences and the things I've heard from my clients over the years. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm missing my comments here. I'm grateful you guys are here today. So it's constant mindfulness to be aware of a need and not slam the door shut on it. And this is not an overnight fix, right? So you all know that in my hybrid program with my private clients, we work on the subconscious and what causes the brain to speak to itself that way, and kind of rework the way that all those networks are firing to allow ourselves to take bigger action faster. That's what we do. Because when the subconscious is on board with our conscious mind, we can take bigger steps faster. What we're working on with the Life on Purpose series, and the reason that the Life on Purpose series was created, was so when we're not ready for that level of commitment and work, when we're not ready for that fast track, we can still choose to say yes to us and still receive support and action steps that we can implement for ourselves. I promise you, I am not trying to take anybody's fierce independence away. I feel like that would be like wrestling an alligator, because I know how that would be for me, even still to this day, right? I love being independent. It makes me happy. But as with all things, there's a balance in it. So the Life on Purpose series was designed to begin to create that balance where we can use our conscious mind to take lessons and do worksheets that allow us to start taking our power back, that are allowing us to start influencing the control we have in our life experience. Because the more in control we feel, the more we realize how many resources are available to us and how many more things are possible when we begin to utilize those resources and create actual strategies for forward movement instead of just hoping something will be different. And that's the really fun part. That's going to be like the amazing part about the Life on Purpose series. And it's actually, we're starting next Monday will be the first lesson of that series. And I'm immensely excited about it because it's really going to be a ton of how to start to make these changes for yourself, right? We have a ton of tools in here. There's a giant archive, right, of these Mindset Monday episodes on all kinds of topics. The Life on Purpose series, all these mini series that are going to be coming out are in specific order about very specific topics. So while again, in my hybrid program, we're working on solving at a much deeper level. So we're not solving for the symptoms of the problem, we're solving for the root of the problem. Life on Purpose is still focused a lot on not necessarily all the way at the symptom level, but much more so addressing specific areas of problems, right, that I've heard over and over and over again from all kinds of people in all kinds of ways for all different reasons, so that we can begin to create some room for ourselves to breathe, so that we can access the parts of our brains that allow us to get deeper rest and to take better care of ourselves and to be more present in our relationships, all of them, our business relationships, with our teams, with anybody we're managing, with anybody we're leading, with our children, all of those things, so that we can begin to create the initial space that allows us to get creative and resource ourselves and take bigger, deeper breaths and get out of that like survival mode state, so we can begin to live and then decide what the next step is from there. And you may decide in the middle of that you want to jump into the hybrid program, and that's great. It's not going anywhere. These are just it's just different speeds of options, right? And I wanted something that would meet people where they're at. And a lot of people that are here in the Mindset Academy are still just in that state where they have to create space for themselves first. They have to create this breathing room first before they can even feel confident in making a decision for themselves. And so that's what we're working on. Ooh, Meredith, this is a really good question. How do you keep from exploding on others and ruining relationships or when you do explode? Hi, Melanie. I'm glad you're here. Meredith, that's a great question. So how do you keep from exploding on others? This is, I love it when you guys come with questions. It's my favorite thing. You keep yourself from the more often we're willing to communicate needs along the way instead of bottling them all up and pretending like we don't have them until like the container literally can't hold it anymore and then it all comes out at the same time, right? You know that feeling? That's how we keep ourselves from exploding. Before we're in a position where we might feel comfortable communicating what those needs are, a lot of times journaling can be very helpful. Guided journaling can be very helpful in those instances where at least we can get them out on paper and begin to sort through them for ourselves. So we're not just putting them in a bottle and pretending like they don't exist, if that makes sense. So the more, and it's just like boundaries, The earlier we're willing to set boundaries and the earlier we're willing to communicate that there's a boundary where there's a boundary for us, the less likely we are to get to the end of our rope before we're willing to set it, right? Because boundaries are exactly the same way. We don't, something frustrates us, we don't like it, it makes us feel funny, it's uncomfortable, we feel like it's disrespectful, and we don't say anything. And that happens again and we don't say anything. And then somebody doesn't show up for us again and we don't say anything. And then all of a sudden, somebody comes to ask for something or they need help. And it comes out in this explosion of like, you never do anything for me. I'm not helping you ever again. Like all of these things that we've been bottling up over the course of months or years, right? That this person had no idea because we weren't willing to say it. So we were just eating it and letting it fester. And that's not fair to anybody. It's not fair to you. And it's not fair to the recipient because they had no opportunity to course correct because they had no idea that you were experiencing these emotions. Does it take courage? Yes. Is it scary as fuck sometimes? Yes. Is it worth it? Every time. Because people that minimize your needs, especially in our adult lives, people that minimize your needs and aren't willing to figure out how to help you meet them. And this may not, like, let me be clear, this may not be their initial response because they may be dealing with their own wounds. But if they react in a negative way and then circle back around later and say, hold on, like, let's figure out how to solve this. Now we're at a place where we can have a conversation, right? But people that just minimize your needs and say they don't care, they're just not your people, right? Those are not the people that you need to continue to be vulnerable with. Meredith, I'm with you. Shoot me a message. Let's plan some time to chat because we need to talk through all of these things and I'm happy to help you with them. There's a lot of strategies for all of this that I would love to discuss. So if you have not registered for the Life on Purpose series, this group is actually getting ready to get smaller here in the Mindset Academy, because if you missed the announcement a couple weeks ago, this is growing to be an incredibly intentional community full of people that are ready to commit to getting the results that they want, which means we're going to start talking about action strategies and how-tos and doing workshops and doing worksheets. And I'm going to give you actual steps that you can take in your everyday life to help you move in the right direction, move in the direction that you want to go, which means that it can't be open to everybody, right? It's just the way it is. So I'm really excited because the people that will be in here and will be staying in here are committed to getting results for themselves. So the conversations are about to up level, which I'm always here for that. And I'm immensely excited for that launch because I know it's going to make a massive difference to so many of you, again, that are still in this place where we need to just create some breathing room for ourselves, which is perfect because I remember that time in my life. And I want to make sure that you have support through that. So if you are not registered for the Life on Purpose by the end of this week, we're going to start restructuring the group. If you don't have a promo code for that, please get in touch with me. There was a gift that I offered in that video, and I want to make sure that you have it. Shoot me a message. Drop a comment below the video. I'll put a link to the registration page again below so that you can click through. There's a ton of information on that page too, as far as what it is and why it matters and all of those things. So that will be there for you too if you'd like to explore it. Otherwise, you all know where to find me, and I will see you next week here in the Mindset Academy for our new series, Life on Purpose. Have a most brilliant week. I can't wait to connect with you again next week. Remember that you are loved and deserving and capable, even in the moments when it feels like you're not. and let me know how I can help you. See you soon.